We're going to first start out with the blog and then probably a YouTube.
Welcome back to M's Adventures in Storytelling, this time with Sofia, a YouTuber, content creator, influencer, all things social media, but actually a travel guide, a travel company, a travel provider with her company called Fridates. This is the beginning, so we're actually going to find out, before one starts, how does one become a paid content provider, a paid influencer, a paid global nomad? How does one make a living doing that? Enjoy. Talking to Sophie, who is about to launch her business as a, what would you call it?
I would say like a travel educator, adding context to travel,
Okay.
Explaining what people are seeing. That's like kind of the goal of Fridates.
So it's going to be called Fridates?
Yes.
As in Friday dates?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how will it, what medium is it going to be? Is it going to be podcasts? Is it going to be YouTube? All of these?
Yeah. Eventually I want to get like my fingers into every kind of content type. We're going to first start out with the blog and then probably a YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to talk about how-tos, but then we also I want to talk about like why we go to the places that we go to, right? Like Americans spend thousands of dollars every year going all around the world. And I feel like, at least in my travels, I see people that like, they go, they get the gram and then they leave. And you're like, what did you learn? What was your favorite part? And they're like, the picture that I got. And I'm like, sweetie, that's great. I'm glad you got the gram. Get your pictures. But like,
so this came from a particular incident that you actually experienced.
Yeah.
Right? Or was it more than one place where you saw this happening?
It's more than one place. Like when I was abroad in Italy, like the stereotypes that they talk about Americans, like you kind of start to see it where they're like, Americans are loud, or Americans like, are getting drunk all the time. You know what I mean? And it's like, I started noticing it there, but then it really was in Egypt where I was like, I was with a group of girls that like, respectfully, they just had different goals than I did. You know what I mean? They wanted to drink a lot, they wanted to party, and it just didn't make sense with like going to Egypt.
Yeah, it's kind of expensive to go to Egypt, and Egypt has, well, a lot of places, Italy also, but Egypt has, 6,000 years of history?
Yeah.
7,000?
Yeah.
8, something like that. Yeah.
And like modesty is a big thing. They don't have hard liquor. So like, it just, my brain was like, does not compute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to have spring break, go to Cancun, go to Vegas. You could have saved so much money than like going to Egypt. And then like, the heartbreaking part for me was like they weren't having a good time either. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like they were oblivious to it. Like they were actively complaining about like, hey, we're being harassed by men on the street, or like this videographer on the cruise had like zoomed in on my ass cheeks. You know what I mean? Like that actually happened. And it's like, I don't want to victim blame, but at the same time I want to be like, you need to be aware of where you're going. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like where this all has culminated.
Okay. So then my question would be, how would you get a hold of them? Where's the, let's go straight to, is it a money-making thing from those people or from other people? Who's the audience?
For Fridates?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the audience is really travelers. You know what I mean? I think it's people who want to explore the world but don't really know, like, they almost have that indecision, not fatigue, but like they just don't know where they want to go. So I want to like sit down and be like, listen, if you want to go to this place, this is kind of like what you will experience, right? Like, for example, like I've always wanted to go to the Louvre and see the Mona Lisa, but like why? You know what I mean? Like what's the history of the painting? Like why is she so important? So like just adding context to these questions of like, why are the places that we kind of idolize, why are they so important?
Okay. And is this for a certain demographic?
I think so. I think it's for an older demographic. So like, I would say like probably 30s and above, because I feel like a little bit younger, it's more of like the social aspect of traveling, right? Like it's the partying, going out to bars. Mm-hmm. And I want to focus on the population that wants to learn about the culture.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So, of course, there are a lot of sources out there. There's TripAdvisor. You can just Google all kinds of things and come across blogs that exist. There's Rick Steves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're huge giants within the travel information field. What would you bring that? I think it's quite courageous and it's great.
Thank
you
you.
want to jump into this, but how are you going to have a competitive edge?
That is a great question. I think it's kind of, so my background, my degree is in anthropology, and like I'm a language nerd, you know what I mean? So kind of focusing more on those aspects, really deep diving into the culture. So it's going to be more than like, of course I want to do content that's like, you know, here are the 5 top places to visit, right? But then what I want to do is kind of dive into that a little bit more, explain the history of each place, you know, more than just like a surface level, like go to the Eiffel Tower, you know, but like, let's deep dive into the history of the Eiffel Tower, what has happened there, like what makes it so freaking cool, you know? So I think that's the edge. And then like incorporating the language, because I feel like you can't, in my opinion, to visit a country truly, you got to know the language. You got to understand like the vibe of the country. So what I would love is to like interview people, like really capture the folklore of the country.
So you'd like to interview local people in their language and then translate it into English?
Absolutely.
For your audience?
Yeah.
How many languages do you speak?
So I speak 3. English, Spanish, and Italian fluently. And I'm familiar with French, but like...
Okay, but you would find somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
As a translator. Okay. And we're eating at Indo-Chen.
Yes.
So if you hear us eating, we're having chat. As we chat, we're having chat.
How appropriate.
Yes, which is basically dressed vegetables, I think, chat. This one is with kale.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crunchy. It does taste very Indian. It's funny, kale like stormed onto the scene.
Right?
And at the beginning it was quite inedible and very healthy. But since then it's gotten, I don't know if it was Rasika. They were very famous. I don't know if it was kale, but they had this green dish that, some deep fried vegetable that they became famous for.
Oh, interesting.
Everyone had to go there.
Fair.
Yeah. And then other people caught the vibe. Mm-hmm. But there were also some chefs on PBS. Mm-hmm. I think Jacques Pepin and Lydia Bastianich, who were showing how to do this air frying before air fryers were in existence.
Yeah.
You know, they would toss the leaves in the oil and then put them in the oven and show you could air fry.
Oh, that's cool.
20 years ago. But now, of course, everyone has an air fryer. So.
Of course. Yeah. Absolutely.
So speaking of Paris and the Eiffel Tower, I was reading that the Olympic medals are all going to have a piece of the tower.
Really?
In them.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
See, like, fun tidbits like that just, like, makes you just, like, pause for a second and be like, huh, like, that's what I want to share. Yeah. That and unique travel experiences. Like, my goal with Fridates is very much, like, helping the indigenous population or helping, like, not the Marriotts and, like, the very popular hotel chains. I think that's kind of overdone, and I know that's a way of, like, making money, but, like, I would much rather, like, for example, I want to plan this trip to Colombia, and, like, you know, part of this trip is going to, like, a coffee farm, like a local coffee farm, and helping them get, like, a little bit of traction. And I think, like, for travelers, I was talking to my aunt about this, like, people want to do things that are unique, right, that, like, people haven't done before. So, like, kind of finding those undiscovered gems. That'd be great. I'm planning group trips around that.
Well, in Colombia, because I lived there as well.
You lived there?
I did.
That's been, wow.
So you should read my blog on that.
Okay, yeah.
I went to Medellin for a day, and I hired a taxi driver, just because it was hot, and there were distances we wanted to go.
Yeah.
I was okay, fine, 30, whatever, you know. And he asked me if I wanted to go see where Pablo Escobar was shot, where he died. Because you can go on all kinds of Pablo Escobar tours.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, no, not really.
Good.
You know, there are other things I want to see.
Right.
And then he was going to take me on a whiz down through the main square, but we got stopped, and there were all these cars. Nobody pays attention to lanes. I mean, there are some really nice highways from the airport at Medellin because it's new.
Right.
Into town, my gosh, delicious, beautiful highway. But once you get into town, it's the way it's always been. And so we're in this massive cars and not really moving. And so he rolls down the window, or I guess it was open, yells to one of his fellow taxi drivers, "What's going on?" And they said that there was a demonstration downtown, so we couldn't really get down there because there were a lot of people down there. But it was a demonstration pro hashish. So I just thought it must be just like this mass group of slow moving.
That's so funny.
I was like, yeah, let's not get stuck in that. I don't have too many hours here.
No.
And then the people who stayed overnight, they had gotten rooms at this fairly fancy new hotel, and it was cool because the roof of the hotel opened.
Oh, that's
so
dope.
the pool and bar was in the top,
Wow.
and the roof would open up like petals. So we went up there and had, appetizers
Stunning.
and drinks and stuff like that. So maybe people would want to go on the Pablo Escobar tour.
Yeah.
If they've seen the movies, etc.
Absolutely. Like, that reminds me of, like, when I went to Cancun, and, like, the group that I went with, like, they were very much like, let's stay on the resort and let's drink. And, like, I respect it. That's just not my vibe. So, like, we ended up going to, like, an animal sanctuary, and it was beautiful. Like, the monkeys stole my friend's glasses. Like, it was just those kind of experiences I really value. Stories like that, like, that's the reason that I travel. You know what I mean? And, like, I, as an anthropologist, I find it fascinating because, like, the stories that people grow up on, I feel like it affects their personality. Like, I feel like the more, like, violent folklore, like, you kind of get a more aggressive population.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Whereas, like, more peaceful folklore, more peaceful population. So, like, I just want to share those stories with the world because it's fascinating.
Resume.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are many fascinating stories.
And, like, especially in, like, this trend where, like, right now it's English. It's, like, hypothesized that, like, Mandarin or some type of Chinese language will take over the world. I, like, want to capture these stories before that happens.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Before, like, it comes, like, this homogeneous, like, language. Because then, like, language are stories. Stories are made out of language. And I want to preserve those as much as I can.
Yeah. So you're planning a trip to Colombia?
Yes. Right now the debate with my mom is, like, since she is Colombian, she wants to go see family. And I'm like, I want to see Colombia. So it's, like, one of the only countries that has a coastline on both oceans. And I want to see the jungle. And I want to see, like...
Yeah.
And, like, admittedly, she hasn't seen any of these places either. So I'm kind of... politely suggesting that, like, yes, family is cool and they can maybe come along, but, like, that's not going to be...
family?
They're in Cali, they're in Bogota. They're all over Colombia. They're either in Colombia or Florida.
Okay. Florida makes a good destination, too.
That's true. That's very true.
So Colombia, from the air, it looks like a giant salad.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
All green?
It's so luscious and green. It's crazy beautiful. Crazy beautiful. I did not love Bogota, but from the air, it is gorgeous.
I love that. That's like Ireland. When you're flying over it, it's just like green everywhere. Stunning.
And the smaller towns, really fun. All over Colombia, small towns. Really interesting. The coast of Cartagena is so amazing. I love Cartagena. I know it's touristy, but if you just enjoy it for the soul of it, that it's a walled city, it's so romantic. And not in, like, the lovey-dovey way, but, like, It just has that feel of romancing the stone and drama.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
And especially staying inside the city.
Uh-huh.
Because you can stay along the new section, which is like staying in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And there are all these new hotels.
Mm-hmm.
But stay inside the city so that when everyone's left, all the day trippers have left. It's so nice.
Just so peaceful.
Yeah.
Like, that's so eye-opening with travel. It's like, I feel like here in the States, like, go, 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 go. Like, your side hustle needs to also make money. And then, like, you travel abroad and, like, people are just, like, sitting at pubs for hours or just, like, shooting the shit with their neighbors. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, how beautiful. Like, when I went to Portugal with my mom, we spent hours, like, at the river just, like, drinking sangria and listening to this guy play guitar. Like, I don't need to be a millionaire. That's what I want. I just want to feel like I can relax at the end of the day.
Yeah. So you have experience. So what's the practical part of setting up your own life?
What do you mean?
Like, how does one do this? Like, this is the dream for many people.
Mm-hmm.
To be an independent travel person like this.
Mm-hmm.
How does one do it?
I think first is believing in your message and getting out of your own way. I think, like, that's where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? Like, you want to share your story, like, share it. Don't be nervous about, like, the judgments or whatever. And start small. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of creators start with, like, let me get the most expensive camera, let me get the most expensive mics. You know, like, start with what you have and then grow from there. So, like, I'm first starting with the blog because, like, writing is a lot more comfortable to me than, like, being in front of a camera. In front of a camera, then, like, that's when the imposter syndrome comes out. And I'm like, oh, my God, my hair, my makeup, my this, my that.
No, you're so cute.
Oh, thank you.
You have a great on-camera presence.
Oh, my God, thank you. I'm working on it. But I think it's just sharing your story and having the balls to share your story. I think that's the first step.
So, I think it's important for people to know that they don't need to spend a lot of money at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, though, please spend the $19 on a good microphone.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, you can get it for $19, maybe $9.
Yeah.
One of those little pin-on Lavalier brand,
yeah.
whatever it is.
Like, that's feasible, but not like the $200 mics and like the mixers and stuff.
Because the mixer one, I must admit I have some of those, and I don't use them because I'm like, that takes too much effort to put together.
Exactly.
And in the end, I carry around the little one that, you know, sure, it's not big and fun looking, but to me, it's really important. I have a higher tolerance for bad video, but if I can't hear,
you're not going to watch it.
I'm not going to pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other part of it is just being authentic. Like, I was reading this article, I watched a TikTok, and the guy was like,
It's a video article.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And he's like, the best vibe that you can put out there, the strongest vibe, is authenticity. Like, people want to connect with other people. Yeah. And I feel like, I noticed this on my Egypt trip as well, where it's like, you know, there was that trend of, like, everyone wanted to be Kim Kardashian, right? Everyone wanted the big butts. Everyone wanted the straight hair. Everyone kind of wanted to look ethnically ambiguous. And I'm like, I get it. I get that you also want to be successful and sexy or whatever adjective you want to put in there. But, like, you were put on this earth for a reason. Kim K was put on this earth for a reason. Like, lean into you. And I think that'll help, like, help you find your audience. At least that's the pep talk I give myself.
So you don't have to be gorgeous?
No. I think you just have to be real.
And basically you have to, it is the same thing that they've said for decades, centuries. You have to be passionate about it.
Yes.
And if you are passionate about it, even if it's some weird thing, some other weirdo will find you.
Exactly. Because if you're passionate about it, you're not going to stop. And I think that's where, like, people, like, kind of get into the trap of not being successful. You know what I mean? Because they stop too soon. So just follow your passions. I feel like they're there for a reason. In my opinion. We'll see.
So give it a chance.
Yes.
You know, don't be like, oh, I did this thing. It's been 2 months. I only have 6 followers, and those are my family.
Mm-hmm. Right? Or like when I'm writing a blog, my biggest critic is myself, right? And I'll sit there and I'll be like, this won't go in the Times. Bitch, I'm not writing for the Times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is my blog. So like, baby steps. You'll get better. The more that you like flex that muscle. It's the same with video editing. My first TikToks, awful, cringe. Now I'm more comfortable with it. It is what it is. You get better.
Yeah. I mean, because if you don't launch out there and just do something, you'll never get better at it.
Exactly. And like for me, I would rather try than like have those what ifs. You know what I mean? Because it's like those what ifs that keep you up at night. Like.
So the logistics, the reality is just start small, do something. I mean, a blog is free. You can blog for free.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because I was talking to, I guess a year and a half ago or so, I was talking to this young woman, and she was the granddaughter of somebody that I know. And so I had to take her out to dinner because she was in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very excited because she said, she's called herself a blogger.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has 3 Instagram accounts.
I would say she's an Instagrammer.
No, she calls herself a blogger.
Okay. Girl.
So I said, because I was showing her my blog,
Right.
my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my Facebook. I think that's all I have, 4 channels.
Mm-hmm.
4 media. And she said, wow, there's so much on here. Oh, wow, this is really blogging. Yeah, no, I call it a blog because I put recipes and I put photos of what I'm eating on Instagram.
Okay. You know, it's like one of those where it's like, you do you, boo, I guess. Like.
But now you're actually much more ambitious because you're planning to make a living off of this.
That is the goal, yes. Yeah. And like, I think a lot of it, at least my plan, is also diversifying the income. You know, I don't just want it all to come in from blogs, but like I want to do group trips as well. You know, I want to, you know, go into the podcast or YouTube, get sponsors, you know, do the whole shebang. I had an idea to like partner with the embassies here in DC and be like, what are the sites that you would wish like people would come and like visit your countries for?
Yeah.
So just kind of like find as many areas as you can, like at least if it's like a money-making venture, I think.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, but now I got the time.
Yeah. So sometimes that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
After the time, and you can't get a yes if you don't try.
Exactly.
And you can't get a yes if you don't ask.
Exactly. And I feel very fortunate to have like a fantastic support system. You know, I have to shout them out because like this wouldn't be possible without like my parents, you know, being like, you can stay with me rent free. So thank you.
Yeah. But even for the rest of us, it doesn't cost very much money to do a blog. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do podcasting, you can also do it for free, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. You know, Google is an outstanding resource, like especially for the people that want to get off the beaten path. Like all I do is I sit there and Google, you know what I mean? It's like maybe I have to go through a couple of pages to find like the unique travel tours or like destinations, but it's there, you know what I mean? It just requires dedication and a little bit of time and effort, really.
So what do you think are good search terms for finding other local, individual, tailored tours?
Search terms specifically?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always like, I guess it depends on, like, what you're trying to search, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, other than, like, travel, group trips, tours in this area. I mean, I found the animal sanctuary by putting, like, you know, things to do in Cancun, and it came up in the search results. Like, it wasn't near the top, but I was like, you know what, this is cool. And eventually came up, so, yeah.
I have to say right now, I'm rather pleased with the algorithm on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Because for some reason, it's suggesting channels to me that have very few followers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Followers that have 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, channels that have 6 or 7 followers.
Mm-hmm.
They're really low followers, but some of them are pretty good quality.
Hmm.
So I don't know what that algorithm is, but I'm like, oh, I like this. Yeah.
Is it, like, channels that, like, just started, or, like...
Yeah, some of them.
Oh, there you go. They're getting you in before they, like, pop off.
Mm-hmm. But some of them have been around,
Mm-hmm.
when they maybe have 350 followers.
Oh, gotcha. I've heard, like, comparing, like, TikTok and YouTube, like, TikTok is better for, like, gaining that audience a little bit faster, but YouTube is more consistent with, like, pushing out your content. Mm-hmm. You know, TikTok is constantly, like, messing with the algorithm. They have the TikTok shop, so, like, they were pushing out videos that were just, like, based on commercialism, you know, and capitalism, and buy. But I think they're trying to imitate YouTube because they want the long-form content, right? They have those 10-minute videos now. But YouTube just, they know what they're doing, and they know who they're serving.
There's no competitor for YouTube right now.
Exactly. There's no long-form competitor.
They have the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're also trying to compete with the short form, though.
Mm.
And the shorts.
The shorts, yeah.
They don't own that.
No.
But they certainly own the long stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, do you even remember when it used to only be 15 minutes?
No.
Yeah, like 20 years ago, it was 15 minutes maximum for a video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, now I can have a 6-hour video, a 24-hour video. Because I listen to audiobooks. I love it.
Yeah.
I can have a 12-hour video that's basically an audiobook.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I put on Chilled Cow for my dogs every night. I'm like, go to sleep listening to this.
Yeah, I had forgotten when it used to be only 15 minutes because it was really annoying. Because that's where it started, the whole, you know, part 1 of 2 or part 1 of 4.
Oh.
That whole chapterizing, I guess, I don't know, make up a verb.
Yeah.
That was very important when everything could only be in 15-minute increments.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's why it started. Yeah, and this is, probably 20 years ago, 18 years ago.
I love
Because you would want to be able to watch the rest of it.
Right.
Because it couldn't even put, and then it was a big deal. I remember when they put on the half hour. Because then you could finally watch sitcoms. Because most of those were half hour.
Right. YouTube just, it's good, you know what I mean? Like, gotta get on TikTok and YouTube. I think that's the combination right now.
Yeah, I don't want to add TikTok. It's enough with me with Instagram, Facebook.
Oh, no.
Oh, that always happens,
Yeah. Oops.
And then I was trying to do a podcast every week, but I just haven't had time. So I may have to slow that down to every month.
Fair. The one I can't get on is X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. I can't deal with, like, the constant updates.
Now there's Threads.
Yeah. Like, no, I'm good.
So I'm like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I don't think I put in a lot of really in-depth stuff, but even just the basic stuff every day takes me at least half an hour.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I feel your pain. Like, a 1-minute TikTok takes me 4 hours to edit.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? And it's
Wow.
like, even like those TikToks where it's like you're just talking to the camera.
Yeah.
I haven't perfected my technique where I can just, like, talk to a camera and be like, you know, that's good. I don't have to edit it. So, yeah. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
live for you yet?
Not yet.
Because I'm amazed at the ones who go live.
I'm like, no. We're working up to it.
Thanks for listening to part 1 of how to make a living as a content provider from the start with Sofia. I thought I could make this fit in all in one podcast, but it would just be too long. I want you to have time to come back and listen next time. So next time there'll be part 2 of how to make a living as a content provider with Sofia. Thanks for now. Ciao for now.